morning. Welcome to another live here with Rashad's YouTube channel. Let's get to Sermon on the Mount, chapter 84, False Prophets. Conclude this book for the whole time about the Bears and the Redskins. 7-9 NFL's greatest massacre. Start with Sermon on the Mount. The teaching of Jesus, Matthew chapter 7, verse 15. Watch out for false prophets. They come to you, sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ferocious wolves. Let's get into it. Rise of the prophetic. According to Jesus, Abel was the first prophet. Abraham was called a prophet. Moses was a prophet. Unknown man of God prophesied to Eli. He was the first of a new era. The great prophets. They were the canonical prophets. Their words become scripture, such as Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel. They were not non-canonical prophets such as Nathan, Gad, Elijah, and Elisha. The false prophets eventually emerged too. They were the prophets of Baal. Elijah encountered had destroyed. During the time of Jeremiah, it was Hananiah whose prophecies proved false. The devil would try to overturn the truth of God with false prophets. These fortunately played control He then began to fly what he taught. First application had to do with entering the narrow gate. Now look at his second application. His warning against false prophets. False prophets have been around for a long time. They exist now. False prophets come in, sleep in sheep's clothing, says Jesus, and you cannot go by outward appearance, which at first it began so benign. The Lord said to him that one should not go by outward appearance. God looks at the heart. Even Sam got it wrong. He hastily inferred Eliab would be the next king. This alone should cancel us not to jump to conclusions. That concludes hastily helps some person as a false prophet. It's because he gets it wrong once in a while. Nick got it wrong once. Yet the interesting thing about Samuel and Nathan, they both correct themselves and did not stick to their guns. False prophets would not admit to a mistake. Jesus is not referring to the gift of the prophecy outlined as 1 Corinthians 12:9. Elaborated on 1 Corinthians chapter 14. He was not saying that unless one is in Isaiah or Daniel, they are false prophets. Paul assumed that Christians in the early church might get it right, get it wrong. This is why he says prophetic prophecies. Those sincere believers who get it wrong, the prophetic utterances, words of knowledge, are not necessarily to be regarded as false prophets. False prophets are not true Christians, yet will never work. Say, Jude talks about them. Certain men who condemn covenants before ordained gone to the church through the back door. False prophets said Peter secretly struck the heresy to Lord. Will bring his swift destruction on themselves. The purpose of Jesus' second application, why did Jesus apply his teaching? As he did this first. At this stage, the first shows the need for discernment. This later talk about false prophets who will deceive in the love, if that were possible. If Friday, not possible for the elect to be ultimately deceived, perhaps they could be temporarily shaken. Is the false prophet, the utterly fraudulent person who has never been sleeping in faith in the first place that Jesus knows about. Secondly, Jesus applies his teaching as he does because the devil will try to divert or deceive the believer who wants to put God first. Paul said to the elders of the church of Ephesus, know that after I leave, savage wolves will come, and among you, they will not spare the flock. Satan moves in quickly, even appealing to one's sincere desire to hear directly from God. Satan's chief apostles to deceive such men are false apostles, deceitful workmen, masquerading as apostles of Christ. No wonder for Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light. Third, sometimes the godly are the most gullible of people, and Christians can be surprisingly naive, almost too open, especially when they so only want to miss what God has in mind for us. Fourthly, is the mind that there will always be false prophets. In the earliest church, there were the zealots, Platonians, scribes, Gnostics, Judaizers, who twisted people's faith. Their equivalent will always be around. False prophets are recognizable. If they were not recognizable, Jesus' words would be in vain. For indeed, recognizable must be rejected. That requires discernment. Caution, don't become proud and narrow what's false. Get to know the true and genuine so well that the false is immediately recognized. So just assume that false prophets would come along or would not have said, watch out for false prophets. They're always around. And the Greek word is pseudo propheti. Pseudo prophets. A word they were counterfeit. They claim to speak for God to have a word directly from God. There's something very appealing about the day of the word from God. So people turn to the cult for a quick word. Okay, never consult an astrology chart, a medium, a fortune teller, a witch, anybody who practices in the cult. Don't even wear a good luck charm. Stay away from such. You never know how strong you will be. The one who seems to speak with authority is very appealing. There's a way Hitler seemed to the top. He spoke with uncanny authority. A false prophet seems so real, but as Jonathan Edwards said, when the church was revived, so also is the devil. When the Holy Spirit falls on the church in great power, you can expect the counterfeit to service in a very short period of time. The one thing you can count on from false prophets is that their prophecies don't ultimately pan out. Hananiah prophesied the end of the Babylonian captivity in 2 years. Jeremiah said it would be 7 years. Hananiah died shortly thereafter. Jeremiah was vindicated. There is a reason false prophets don't turn because it cannot come true. They don't hear from God. And God knows the future perfectly. They sometimes choose to reveal some of that to a servant of his. But a false prophet has only the devil to hear from. The devil does not know the future, whether it be what is at hand or the distant future as Hananiah showed. The warning, watch out. This is ammunition is be on your guard. Expect false prophets to show up. Why beware of it? Because false prophecy may take time, but it's clearly seen as being utterly false. Hananiah prophesied the end of the Babylonian captivity. For 2 years, everybody cheered. Jeremiah stood alone, but when the 2 years passed by, Hananiah died. Jeremiah said he would. The people came to their senses, but in the meantime, they would see. False prophets give people what they want to hear. They fulfilled the false prophecy. In the last days, people will flock to those teachers who say what their engineers want to hear. Turn their ears away from the truth. Second, false prophets do great damage to the followers of Christ. It discourages Christians who really want to be open to what the Spirit is saying to the church. So we come to this conclusion, even give up their faith entirely because of a false prophecy. However, a difference between a false prophet and a prophecy that is false, the person who is not phony to get it wrong, but they too do damage. Yet what Jesus is warning against is a person who's not a true man or woman of God at all. A prophetic person who truly loves God, who gets it wrong, they not want to hurt God's church. Or the false prophet wants to destroy the work of the God, church of God, who earnestly contend for their faith. So it becomes more complicated while a false prophet can get it once in a while. If he gets it right, it's always remembered by the gullible. 1,000 times the false prophet gets it wrong, it's off the brushed aside. People want to hear a word that makes them feel better. This is why people turn to a fortune teller. A slave girl in Paul's day had the ability by spirits to predict the future. She made money doing this. False prophet, therefore, get demonic help. Let's see if that false prophet can give a sense of ecstasy. Companies when a false prophet's word of knowledge or prediction turns out right. Some will memorize and will never be persuaded. This prophet is false. The devil knows your date of birth, past experiences, friends, phone number, and address. The original false prophets. False prophets hanging around the church, the people of God. So who was Jesus addressing? In Matthew chapter 7, verse 15. The church, you can be sure that no days there will be the logical wing of the church that the false prophets will pursue. You will largely stay away from those who deny infallibility of Scripture, but they are not serious threat to his interest. The devil fears those who enter the narrow gate, who go to the stake for their theological views. The false prophet will center on where the interests of Satan are most threatened. This will not warn the Pharisees to beware of false prophets. Not warn Sadducees to watch out for false prophets. He warns those who are born again. He warns those who are born again, want to keep the golden rule, follow the narrow road, narrow way. The sheep, the false prophet is out. False prophets come in sheep's clothing, once again an entry to the faith. They will have the appearance of being docile, gentle. They will appear to be harmless. They will look credible. They may even have credentials. They may suggest the appearance of class. Some might think at first they are conscientious. This is why they come, hostess, deceiving their elect. David and Paul was so cunning, persuasive that even Romans was led astray. His deception was temporary. Those prophets have a predictable approach. When they come to you, they don't wait for you to go to them. They come to you, they will take the initiative. Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons, they don't wait for you to come to them. They're aggressive and knocking on doors, passing out dirt on the streets. It's a pity that we who have the truth often surpass it. Truth speaks of how false prophets and true to the fellowship of God's people. Your ministers at your love feast, even without the slightest harm. They worm their way into churches. Their aim is to destroy the sheep. Their forces was they kill sheep, rob them, they set out to ruin God's people. They come out of the blue to deceive, divide, and destroy the church. But because of their appearance, sheep's clothing, they often succeed. So if we choose the narrow road, stay on the narrow road, we need discernment. One day I'll be in chapter 85, recognizing the false prophet. By their fruit, you will recognize them. Do people take grapes, thorn bushes, fig thistles, and why is every good tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit. Good tree cannot bear bad fruit. A bad tree cannot bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down, going to the fire. That's by their fruit you will recognize them. Chapter 7, verse 16 to 20. Let's get to the last chapter, 73. Nothing bears over Redskins, the NFL's greatest massacre, part of history. From the moment the clock ran out on the Bears 17 at Johnson, the Redskins watched the Redskins on that cloud December afternoon of 1940. The stadium, anyone in the football and sports world realized the game was extraordinary. It was clearly unique because of the point spread between two first-class teams because it wasn't enough that the Bears had under a crazy cricket number on the scoreboard. Shut up the foes as well, but because the championship was at stake. Almost immediately, George Hallis Bears players and those affiliated with the Redskins said that the game would never come along again. So far as they are right. Decades of the 1940s passed without any result. Approximately 73 nothing. Never mind in the championship game. They went to the 50s and the 60s. It didn't happen in the 70s and 80s either. The 20th century came to an end with the start of a new name in 2000. That then had occurred on an NFL football field compared to 73-9. The season is a new century, and then the 73-9 game stands alone. But not seemingly beginning to repeat, much like Jordan Mazzar's 56 game history. The baseball world champions 100-point game NBA. That's 65 years and counting. The game has outlived its participants. Football writers began taking note of each anniversary of the game and the zero. They began chasing down living players and coaches competed in the 73-9 game. Leaved it in the print for new generations of readers. Beckman was speaking in the early days of NFL parody then when he said never in any game, never mind a title game. I think that was accurate since there has never been a regular season. It's the same thing, nothing spread either. Also has said since then football hasn't been the same. That one made us major league. It showed the country that potential in professional ball. It made us accepted as professional. Howard said he stood the game, had a larger impact, and was looked at as not only a game of a T formation revolution. I realized it when the requests started coming in with copies of the movies. So people who had never used the T formation could end immediately and didn't use anything else for the rest of their lives. Howard learned the T formation in college, playing under Bob Zucke. Illinois said that was all he ever used, but it had been complete updated due to Clark's shortages for the mind. Other big name coaches employed their own emphasis systems in a lot of games, so they were not hard to change. It took an avalanche of points scored by the Bears to gain nationwide attention, especially against open-minded coaches or those searching for something new to install. It stands for total offense. How 70 can do everything in the team formation as to be done that you might want to do in a football game, and any other person can do. It's the easiest to teach in high school or college, and you can do more at pro football. Coach Sorensen was the most helpful emphasize Clark the first good and T. Nobody was more important in the organization and development of our system. Players piled up 11 touchdowns that day because the Cats did a lot with the T formation. The rest of the league wasn't sure how to stop it, said Hall of Fame guard Danny Fortman. Every 1940 Pro Club except the Bears used some form of a single wing. That was a slow developing formation which each play originated the singing, throwing the ball between his legs so the running back behind him. There's a big difference between that and T in which the center just hands the ball to the quarterback. Running backs hit the line much faster than T. Defense of the 1940s were ready for the T, and they weren't ready for the speed and talent Harris had. But that day, we played the Redskins. I think we would have easily beaten any team that ever played football up to date. What is often overlooked is that the T formation wasn't new, had been around in some form for half a century. But defenses had adapted to its old look and fell into disuse. Sorensen's tweets, coupled with Harvest's simple but brilliant, suggests that the team put a man in motion, gave the formation an extra pop. That's basically it. Nothing to say about this game, about this book. It's a historic day. On that December day, 1940. The cool. That's it. We're done. All right, so that's it for today's live feed. I'll conclude this book. I don't know what next book gonna be for Monday. I'll continue to be in certain amount. Chapter 85. Pick a book soon. Go with a certain amount, but got that many chapters left from that book. So subscribe, like the channel. We appreciate it. Talk to you on Monday.